Hello, everyone. It's Mel Cherrygate from the podcast, whoever you are. And I'm here again with another guest. Her name is Rachel. We've been talking for a little bit right now, and she's very excited. So am I. And she's gonna tell us a little bit about her story, and we're gonna have a chat as usual. Hi, Rachel. Welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. It's such a
I love
pleasure.
it. Yeah, me too. So tell us a little bit about your story, just for the people get to know you a little bit more.
Yeah. So going way back for me, the relationship with alcohol started when I was 14.
Mhm.
And it was always one of those things where I was always very intrigued by people that were drinking. I was always very enamored with the lifestyle, I would
Okay.
say.
Yeah. Hmm.
There wasn't a lot of adults that drank around me. My parents weren't like huge drinkers, but there was other people in the periphery, friends, parents, and just even like I was highly influenced by music videos, by movies. Literally, some of my favorite movies, it was like the aesthetic of like the party girl with the martini and the cigarette
Yeah. True.
and like doing like a line in the club and like
Oh yeah.
it was
Oh my
all
God.
very romanticized in my mind. I think long before I actually picked up a drink.
Hmm.
And at that age, you wouldn't think you'd be coming across movies and things like that, but you do, of course, right?
Yeah.
Even without like that was before the internet. I'm 41, so that was like we had the internet, but the only thing I was doing on there was downloading music on Napster, and I
Hmm.
would, I don't even think that's all I did. I would look up song lyrics and print them out and then sing along with like my favorite music. That's all I did on the internet. So if you can imagine for anyone who's young watching this, like I still managed to, find the influences, right? And so, yeah, that was for me, I think like I just romanticized it. I literally wanted to be that girl. And I essentially became her. The first time I got really, really drunk was spring break in ninth grade. And I remember me going into my parents' liquor cabinet. Like I said, they didn't have much. And so it's kind of amazing that I thought I could get away with taking anything because it's not like they had this surplus, right? And
Hmm.
I literally did the classic, like I filled the bottles up with water,
Oh my
like
God.
poured the
Yeah.
booze into the water bottle,
Hmm.
literally put like vodka, whiskey. It was like the most disgusting combination of
Yeah. Oh my God.
liquors.
I did the same.
Yeah, filled up every bottle, put it back in there, and then I went and met some friends at the community club. And that was like the thing to do when I was young. You go meet at the community club, you'd hang out, you'd drink, and then you'd literally get in cars and drive around in a convoy and go to party in like we called them bush parties. So you would go to a park and there'd be a fire, there'd be people playing guitar. So it was very like it was kind of like the movies, I wasn't in a club in Italy snorting lines at that point, but I was definitely still kind of like acting out this like fantasy, really. And it was so fun. It was the best of times and everyone was doing it. And it was like we'd fill our backpacks with King cans. That's what we called them, the really big beers. And, we drink three of those and just be, blackout running around the streets. It was totally insane. So that's where it all began. But the worst night, it was spring break, and I guess I vomited everywhere. I remember really embarrassing myself, just being, inappropriate essentially, and just sort of, feeling. I remember waking up and feeling really like ashamed, and not knowing exactly what I had done or hadn't done, but having like the flashes of
And then
things
you're
where you,
afraid that
yeah,
something bad happened, right?
yeah. And then you feel that like burning in your chest, like, oh my gosh, what did I do? Or what did I say? And these are all like my school friends. It's not like it was people I didn't know. Like I would have to face these people. But the worst part is I was in my room and I didn't know how I got there. In
Wow.
my pink striped room with all my stuffed animals on my bed because I was 14 and still in that like
Like
my
you were a
room, yeah,
kid.
my room still looked like a little girl's room, and I was a little girl pretty much, and I remember being afraid to leave my room because I knew it was going to be bad. I didn't know how I got there. And so I think after a few hours, I came out of my room and my parents were downstairs. And I just remember my mom, like, it was just like, what did you do, kind of thing. And I guess so someone had phoned my dad from a payphone
Oh my
because we
God.
didn't have cell phones, right? And said, you need to come and pick Rachel up. She's really sick. She drank too much. And that I mean, I had a very close relationship with my dad, and I feel like I was so ashamed. I was so embarrassed. And then, of course, I created the visual in my mind because I didn't remember. So I had this idea of him carrying me covered in vomit into the house and then just like putting me to bed. So I was, of course, grounded for the rest of spring break. And you would think that that would have been like a wake up call, but it was
Yeah,
not.
but you were a kid,
Yeah, I
you
was a
know.
kid. And it was like in when you're young like that, yeah, I didn't feel well for like a day, but then after my grounding ended, it was just kind of like back to the party.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
but I learned never to mix like 7 different liquors in one. That was a mistake. So we're not going to drink a 40
So
straight from the
let's do
bottle.
it another way. Let's
Yeah,
just drink one drink, right?
right. So yeah, that's where it all began, and then from there essentially I loved to drink. I loved it. I loved how I felt when I drank. I felt like, again, it was like this fantasy of like, I could really come out of my shell. So I
Hmm.
was always outgoing with my family and friends, but in, larger social settings, like in high school, I was, nervous. I was anxious. I overthought things. I wanted people to like me, like the usual things that everyone goes through. But when I discovered that I could have 1 or 2 cocktails and
And
I
then
would
feel
feel
like,
like
yeah. Hmm.
like I was like there, the confidence was through the roof. There was no more insecurity. So for me, that is what like really hooked me with alcohol. Was it was immediate. It was like, wow, this is
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, I have for me, I was a little older, but it was the same. It was like, okay, I got this now.
Yeah.
I drank, and after with cocaine, it was even worse. The feeling, it was even more like,
Yes.
that's it.
Yeah.
I found it,
Yes.
and I have to say that even now that all these horrible things happened, and I stopped, I still sometimes fantasize or romanticize the good moments that I had,
Yep.
because it was fun for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, I was in love with the idea of this beautiful woman drinking and doing lines, like you said, in Italy or something. And
Yeah.
then, I remember here in Portugal, I did that. And then I was like, oh my God, I'm in Europe. And, I was so full of myself. And, and in thinking that I was connecting with people, and I
Mm.
was just making a fool of myself.
Well, yeah.
And
What's funny though is you were actually in Europe and I was in basements in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. So,
in Europe
uh,
now, because when I was little, I was also in the basement somewhere.
I was really living in an illusion.
Mhm.
But no, like I totally, we can connect on that because that's a real thing. The romantic, and I
Mhm.
think that's also what our culture does, right? That is what the alcohol
Yes.
brands do.
I mean,
Like,
the wine bottles are
oh,
beautiful.
oh my gosh, I literally made a video about that. It was about other things related, but just how absolutely gorgeous the packaging is. And I'm a sucker for, I have a background in graphic design. When I see a beautiful
Yeah, me
label
too.
with the
I'm
beautiful
all about the
typography and
design.
oh, yeah, like it's
Yeah,
like
and then
if
you
anything I
think,
buy it for that.
like, how can something so beautiful be harmful? You
Well,
know,
yeah.
I wonder if they like package cocaine in like these beautiful boxes
Oh,
and sell it in the supermarket.
Like Tiffany
Because
jewelry, the
yeah,
cocaine in the box with
because
the ribbon.
Yeah, and some people put cocaine in those beautiful packages to make it more, I don't know, more by like coal or something.
Right.
And because one thing I always say, and I said to Frank today in the morning, and I said to I think to Leo yesterday, that I believe that if alcohol were to be released today, it would not be approved.
No, 100% it
Because
wouldn't.
it's crazy. I can go to the supermarket, buy 100 bottles of whiskey right now, and no one will say anything.
I know, and it's a literal class 1 carcinogen, and they know that. It's so unbelievable. Like that is my biggest like crusade on the internet, is just bringing awareness to how it's an
It's
actual
it's
toxin.
alcohol. It's the
Yeah.
same alcohol you use to clean your house.
Yes.
It's
Ethanol.
just in a beautiful bottle, and it
Yes.
tastes
It's
better.
yeah.
And people get very defended. People that are not alcoholics and still drink,
Yes.
they do get like kind of offended when I say things like that. But I
Mhm.
do really believe it. And
Yes.
like my husband drinks, and not too much, but he drinks,
Yep.
and I got to get used to. So now I'm used to. I don't care. He drinks, but when I tell him about this idea of mine that it should be illegal, he almost gets scared. That, oh my God,
Yeah.
I can't have beer anymore. But I do
Mhm.
believe that someday it might be.
Yeah.
Uh,
And I think, witnessing sort of the younger generation, they're not as interested in alcohol. They really aren't. They have other problems though. Like, there's
yeah.
other drugs, and, vaping is another thing that I'm just like so upset about, because that also just making the vape juice taste like cotton candy and vanilla and all these like cupcake flavors, and it's like,
You know,
why are we actively trying to kill ourselves? Like,
it's
why are these companies
disgusting.
able to even make these things legal? I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't get it.
It
It's all
targets
about
kids.
the money,
Yep.
and and so they don't make other drugs legal for the same reasons,
Mm-hmm.
and then they do those drugs legal for the same reason.
Yeah.
And of course, we're not here to talk about politics, but
Right.
it is, and people get a little bit like, oh, just because you have a problem now, no one can drink, and it's not about that.
It's not
But
about that. Yeah.
no, no, it's
Well,
about to bring awareness, right?
that's what it is. Yeah. And so, to go back to my story before we get off
Yeah, of
track, because
course.
I feel like we could go on a lot of side quests. But essentially, from all through high school, I drank, and it was like literally, I had a car and I had all of my bar clothes in my car, and we would go to the bar and we would stay up until 2, 3, 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, and then we'd literally go to school, change out of the bar clothes into the school clothes, and then go to school. And that is insane to think about that. And I don't know how I got away with doing that, because my mom was she was very dialed in, but she wasn't fully dialed in, like I don't know how I got away with it, basically, but we were all doing it. And again, it was like normal. It was normal to do that in my school, and there was people from all walks of life. It wasn't like it was a certain type of neighborhood. I went to a school where people from all over the city came, so it was all sorts of kids with all different backgrounds, rich kids, poor kids, it didn't matter, right? If anything, so my mom, actually, she moved me out of the high school I was in, and she sent me to like a prep school, and she thought that would get
Stop
me
you.
away from the bad kids. But all that did was introduce me to the super rich kids who had access to more expensive drugs like cocaine. And instead of driving, a beat up Tempo, they were driving BMWs, right? So it was just the same thing, but it was just a little more luxurious. And so,
No, it got better, right?
well, yeah, it got better. She thought I would stop my ways and I would be around these really successful kids that were really focused on their academics. And there was the kids though, and I was always amazed by them, that they did do exceptionally well in school. They went on to be like lawyers, doctors, dentists, and the whole while they're doing coke, they're partying. But I was not able to do that. I really was not able to do that. So as a result, I floundered. And that's sort of where, it went from being like, oh, this is fun and everyone's doing it, to like, now I'm 26 and I have not gotten a degree in anything. And that isn't like a necessity to become a successful person. However, I also hadn't done anything else. I was
you need
working.
to do at least something, right?
Yeah. I was just working random jobs, and it wasn't like I had no ambition. And that's the part that was really difficult, is I had so many dreams. I had so many goals. I had so many things I was passionate about, and I couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. Why am I not a photographer by now? Why aren't I like a successful XYZ? And it was like, my physical health. Like, I always wanted to be one of those girls that was like going to the gym and like healthy and eating, drinking smoothies and having fruit bowls. But yet I was like doing the opposite of that. I'm like eating pizza dipped in ranch at 4 a.m. And I'm like, what is wrong with me? Like, how do these two things exist in the same person?
And it's funny because everything you were saying, like, you were not achieving your dreams, you were not having the life you wanted, but it doesn't occur to us that it's because you're drinking.
Literally, that it
You
was
know,
like, well, in my mind, I rationalized it. I was like, well, that girl, she's in law school and she's partying with me. So what's wrong with me? Something must be wrong with me. And it was like, when I finally put it together, the drinking is holding you back more than it may not be holding her back. That isn't your problem. Like, why are you comparing your story and your life to somebody else? It doesn't justify what you're doing. And guess what? She's not laying awake watching the sunrise feeling like she's going to have a panic attack. And if she is, it doesn't matter, because I'm living this experience. So why do I keep justifying it in order to stay in it? It was just, and so when I started thinking like that, and I mean, that went on for a long time, and I still continued to drink because I couldn't separate this like persona from the realities of it. And, we had talked a little bit before you hit record about music and how I was really into, like the hardcore scene. I love going to metal shows. And then when that started, so that was after high school, I was always loved music, but I was more going to the bar. Like, I would go to like, top 40 hits kind of bars. Right. But once I really got into like heavier music, it became going to shows. And then I met people that were still doing the same stuff, except now we're kind of like doing more. Oh, we're at a concert. And then like you create this community and you have all these connections, and then you end up dating a guy that's in the band. And for me, that's what it was.
always
Dating the guy in the band, or a DJ, like, or a chef. And I actually ended up marrying one of them. And he's also sober now, which is another fun story. But I was just enamored with it from start to finish. And the fact that I didn't become like a full on, like actually be in a band or be like a full groupie where I was following bands around the country. I'm glad that I didn't, because I probably wouldn't be alive today. I really wouldn't. But yeah, it was chaos. And I worked these random jobs in retail. I've worked every job I think you could imagine, like from picking up garbage on the street to making sandwiches at Subway, flipping burgers. Anything you can think of. And what was the reason for that too? It was because I couldn't stay committed to anything, because I was a drunk, because I was hungover all the time. And guess what? It was pretty easy to be like, yeah, I can't make it in. I'm not feeling well. And then what happens when you do that one too many times? Well, you get fired.
You get fired, yeah.
Or you just quit your job because you're a loser. And so it was just everything. It was everything, but at the same time, I think I never had these like, I never got in a car crash where I broke bones.
So you feel like I didn't hit rock bottom?
Nope,
so
I didn't hit
I'm
rock
not
bottom.
like that drunk that it's laying on the street. So I'm.
And I never drank alone for a while. That was something I always said to myself, though. I'm like, well, I don't drink alone. And then I had all these rules eventually. And that's how I really knew things were getting bad, because it was like, oh, well, I don't drink beer. And then it was like, I don't do shots. And I think you really know you're in trouble when you start having these rules and you think that that's normal. It's like people that just drink casually, they don't need to have a rule where it's like you're not allowed to have a
You know,
shot.
they don't even think about alcohol. They don't think about. They
No.
just when they are in social gather. Okay, oh, do you want some wine? Yeah, I think so. But for me, it's crazy. It's like I think so. I
Oh,
was like, open this bottle right now.
right. You're sitting there waiting. You're like, why hasn't the wine been opened? And then you're thinking, how could they invite someone over and not have the wine ready to go? Like, or you're literally like, I had friends and we would split. Three of us would go in on a bottle of wine because we had no money, but we needed to have a drink. I actually remember it was a classy moment. One of my girlfriends and I, we literally had no money and we split a shot at the bar with coins, like quarters and nickels and dimes. And in Canada, we have loonies and toonies, but we literally split a shot. And that's like shameful. It's like, get it together. You can't even, like just don't
And
have
then
the
it makes
drink.
it even worse because when you have an addiction, you can't just drink a shot.
Well, no, not at all. So then you
It's
get
like,
guys to buy you drinks. That's what we would do.
yeah, the
Guys
same.
to buy us drinks.
And then when you're young, then you're cute, and then you can kind of use that in your favor.
Yep.
And I know I did.
Yep.
Um, I got into the fashion industry, and I was a makeup artist. And that environment was really complicated because we had like parties almost every day, or runaway shows, or like you
Oh.
were in a photo shoot, and then
Mm-hmm.
after, oh, let's have some wine, and everybody's doing coke,
Yep.
and so like you said, for me it was like, oh my God, I'm living the life.
Yeah. And that's what you see too in the movies. And I had a moment, and it's sort of embarrassing, but I remember watching this J-Lo video, and she was wearing these skinny jeans with, like, when it was popular to wear like the chains around your waist and they would kind of hang down, and she had like multiple chains like that, and she had like a bottle of champagne, and she's got this like ridiculously nice body, and she's like near like an infinity pool or something. I don't remember what the music video was, but I remember looking at that being like, see, J-Lo drinks, and look at her
And
body, and look
and the
at the
funny
pool.
thing that she doesn't
She
drink.
does not drink.
They don't drink.
They don't.
Those people that are super successful, they don't drink, and they are
No,
not doing lines.
they are not doing that. It's not real. Like, how did I think it was like, are you kidding me? But that's just how deep into the justification I was. So what really, to fast forward to kind of like nearer to the end, I remember I was like researching holistic certifications. Like, I wanted to be like a wellness coach, but I was like snorting lines and like, drinking
I'm
6 beers a
sorry for
night.
laughing, but I know how it is.
No, like literally. And it was like this sort of dream that was very confused. But I remember researching that, and something happened. I had a job as a manager of a retail store, and they closed it. And they told me, you can either like take this job in Toronto. So it was another management position in this company, or we can just pay you out. And it was like $6,000 or something. And
Okay.
I remember thinking, well, I don't want to move to Toronto, so I'll just take the money. And I was living with my boyfriend, who's now my husband. And I remember talking to him about it, and we had some debts. We had some things we could have used that money for. And I remember having this conversation with him, and I said, well, we could spend that money on paying back debts, or we could go to Thailand. and he was like, Thailand? And he had like he'd been on one plane, and it was with me to Cuba. And I was like, yeah, let's go to Thailand. I've always wanted to go. So we literally went to Thailand for 2 months. We spent all the money. And had the best time ever, partying it up, doing like in Thailand, you can walk into a pharmacy and order your drugs over the counter pretty much. It was like totally insane. So, we were doing that and, drinking and rainforest parties and, living the life, and we didn't have a kid. So it was like this amazing life. And then there it was like, I remember I was blogging. I was doing a little blogging of my trip and took pictures of my food. And I realized I was like, I want to do something different. I feel like this is the year. And we had met people in Thailand that were doing super cool things, like partying on rooftop bars in Bangkok. And there was this guy, and I'll never forget him. He had his laptop out. And I was like, what are you doing? And this is in 2013. So this is when the digital nomad thing was becoming super, like you'd or see people online doing this. But it was nothing like it is now, right? With online work. And it was like around the era of like, I had read 4 Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss, super inspired by that. There was this podcast called The Tropical MBA. And it was like, I was like, I want to move overseas and I want to work remotely and I want to live my dream. I want to get sober. I want to be this girl, you know?
Okay.
And so anyways, this guy told me he was a lumber trader and he just worked online and he lived in the Philippines and then he'd go to Bangkok and travel wherever. And he was like in really good shape and his girlfriend was like beautiful. And I realized, I'm like, I don't think they've had any drinks, you know? And then it just all started clicking. Like, because in Winnipeg, honestly, I didn't see a lot of people that didn't drink. The culture there, and similarly in the Midwest and many other places, is the alcohol is so normalized. It's just a part of what we do to celebrate anything, right? So basically, I ended up deciding to go back to school. And I had attempted to go to school numerous times, but just always dropped out. And so I decided to go for graphic design and that I was going to move to the United States, because my dad had moved here and I would have a free place to stay. So that basically is sort of the turning point. And I was still drinking at this point. So I convinced my boyfriend to move to Wisconsin in the United States with me. We both went back to school. And basically I quit cocaine when we moved to the US simply out of fear. Because I was like, I can't risk doing cocaine in the United States and being deported back to Canada. That was literally my reasoning for quitting it. And then I quit smoking cigarettes too. So that was like a hard cutoff. No drugs, no cigarettes. And then I told myself I will also never drink and drive again when I am in the US. Again, I don't want to be deported. So basically we moved to the US in 2013 when we came back from that Thailand trip. It was in the end of the summer. And ever since, things have just gotten better and better. And my sobriety moment was September 13th, 2019. So I had been here for quite a while.
Yeah,
and I
you were sober for a while.
Yeah, and I was still drinking, but it was like it was really dialed back. And a big part of that was just moving to a new place and being able to start fresh. I didn't have any friends here that drank, right? I wasn't in a scene, so I could start over.
Start fresh.
So for me, it was a little bit of a gradual story from the kind of initial move and going back to school full time. And like I said, I was still drinking, but now it wasn't every night of the week, because I had to wake up and go to school. And there was a lot of times I did wake up and go to school hungover, but
yeah, but actually it's amazing that you managed to do that by yourself.
I know it is kind of amazing. I think I knew I needed to get out of where I was. And some people say you can't run from your problems, right? You take yourself with you. But I would disagree. I think that, yes, of course you take yourself with you, but having a new environment can change everything for you.
Yeah. I had like to create a new environment but there was spaces that I could not run away from, like my house here in Portugal. And my husband stayed with my daughter. And I came back to the same life. But I have to change my mind on and put another meaning into my house and being a mom, being a wife. And so I had to do that because, or I would do that, or I would have to leave my family and go live somewhere. And I managed to do that. But I still wake up in the same apartment that I used to wake up and do times.
Yeah, that's really difficult to not have that separation. That's like exposure therapy in a sense. You're like, oh, it's the same place, but like I'm a new person. And then having
Hmm.
flashbacks maybe when you looked at things. At least that's how it was for me.
Yeah, sometimes it happens now less and less. I because I really put a new meaning in everything in my life. I always say I had to change my relationship, then with my cat, like with everybody,
Yeah.
and rethink everything and really change my mind that this kind of life with drugs and drinks is glamorous or fancy, or it's
Yeah.
like now living the life, because
Hmm.
it's the opposite,
Right.
right?
Well, yeah, that's like so to kind of move forward into when I actually decided to get sober for the last time because I had attempted to quit for I had about 6 months and I was exercising, I was eating healthy, but I was still drinking tequila, club soda, and lime, and that was the kind of last phase of the rules. It was like no sugar. There was so it was just booze and club soda with a lemon or a lime, and that's it. And I really felt like I had a lock. I had control over my drinking. This is what I thought. Not smoking, not drink, or not smoking or doing drugs. Just the tequila, club soda, lime. But I was exercising, and I'd lost a lot of weight when I stopped drinking beer and eating pizza.
Yeah, me
And so that was a phase that lasted probably about a year,
too.
and then I went back to school again, and I won't get into that whole thing. I have a lot of stories. I could talk for a long time, but
Yeah,
we're
we could be
getting to the
talking
point where it should. But so I had started prerequisites for nursing school. And I was
okay.
so proud of myself. I was really getting my confidence back and like true confidence, really. I would drink like 3 drinks a week. And for me, that was like, wow, this is what the successful girls do. They only have 3 drinks a week and they're going to school and they're exercising. And I'm like a totally normal person.
Hmm.
And I had just done really well on my semester. And I said to my husband, let's go celebrate. I'm so happy. And we went out and we had these beautiful fancy margaritas that were like $12. And at the time, that was kind of a lot. Now they would probably be like $20.
Hmm.
And had, the tincture of elderberry and like a pressed uh, daisy on the top as a garnish and like in these beautiful vintage glasses. And again, it was the aesthetic of it. And I
Hmm.
drank probably like 6 of those and was like totally blackout by the time we left. And then I drove drunk.
Oh my
And,
God.
and I had not drove drunk, like I said, since I moved to the US. So that
Hmm.
happened in 2019. So that was a lot of years of following that rule. And so you talk about people that have like a turning point or a rock bottom. So for me, it was that I drove
Okay.
drunk, and not only did I drive like 5 minutes down the road, I got on the freeway and
Oh
I
my
drove
God.
for 40 minutes in that state
So
to
you
our
were very
friend's
lucky.
house. Very lucky that I didn't kill anyone or myself or hurt anyone or myself. We went to our friend's house because the party, I wasn't done, like I was just getting started. We went to our friend's house. I probably drank like 6 beers. I
Oh my.
remember falling down the stairs at a certain point, like just was really, really bad. And then I woke up the next morning and I have never felt that bad in my entire life. Like that was the single worst hangover I'd ever had in my life. And the absolute shame and guilt that I felt because I thought I had control.
And then you think, what happened? Like,
Yeah.
what?
And,
How?
and and that's what I realized. I said to myself, I feel like I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, you do not have control over this and you never will. There is no moderate amount of alcohol that you can consume. And it was to the point where I knew it in my mind. I was resolute. I said, this is it. Like
Yeah.
as if I was a parent talking to, like it was somebody else speaking to me. And it was like, you are finished. This is no longer, there's no wiggle room here.
There's
You're
no
done.
option,
And I
right?
downloaded the I Am Sober app and I hit go and that was it. And that was September 13th, 2019.
Oh,
And
congratulations. This is amazing.
honestly, Mel, like it was from there. And of course, that's a whole other episode of talking about, like you said, you think when you quit drinking, you said this in one of your videos, when you quit drinking, you think that's it. And that, you know, the real work then begins, right? You think you're going to be happy and everything's going to be amazing. And then, of course, that isn't what it is.
No, you miss it. You have to grieve that girl,
Oh,
that pretty girl that you loved. You have
yes,
to
that you
grieve her
loved.
like she's dead. And it's not that you're not gonna have fun anymore, but that girl has to go.
That girl is gone. And that,
Yeah.
like you said, that's a grieving process. And that took me a little bit. However, and I don't know if you believe in any higher power, and I don't want to get into that, but you can take this however you want. I got sober September 13th, 2019, and found out I was pregnant with my first child in January of 2020. And I had been waiting for the right time to get pregnant because I didn't know if I should. I didn't really know if I wanted kids. I had stepkids at the time, and it was, well, I still do, but I didn't know if I wanted my own child. And I found out I was pregnant, and there's no way I was going to drink when I was pregnant. So it immediately, I knew I'm going to be 9 months with the 4 months plus the 9. By the end of my pregnancy, I'm going to have a year of sobriety. And I knew without a shadow of a doubt, I would never drink knowing I was pregnant. So
Yeah, and this is amazing. When I got pregnant, I was drinking, uh, and then of course I stopped, and it was so easy to stop when I found out I was pregnant. Because you know
yeah,
why? Because it was not for myself.
it was for somebody. Yes, 100%.
No,
And I
I
always
did
put
not
people
do it for
above
myself.
myself. Yeah.
Yeah, I did it for my baby.
Yes.
No.
Oh,
And then
100%.
yeah, and it was so easy to make it for somebody else,
Yes. So
right?
he is my gift. He really is.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. I wish I had my journal. I could read you, but a few months after being pregnant, 4 months or so, I wrote him a letter, and I'd written him a few letters, and I wrote how I thought he'd look and what his personality would be like. And I knew he was a boy. I just felt it. And it's amazing because he literally looks like how I thought he would look. His
Oh, that's
personality, his likes, his dislikes, like he was my gift from God, really. He it's just, I think about it now, and it's like it's just a miracle, really. And so I
yeah.
had him.
I, I do believe
Yeah.
that there are definitely things that happen to help us
Yes.
get better.
Yes.
I remember when I was really, really, really bad, and I would go to the supermarket in the morning to buy wine because I needed help on my symptoms. And then the woman in the supermarket that worked there, she came to me and held my hand and said, "I'm praying for you." And then that day, I decided to go back to reality.
Wow.
You
That's so
know?
amazing. And that's the thing. It's like whether you believe in God or not, it's a like people are put in your path for a reason. And that person was like a sent to you, I feel like, to deliver that message.
Yeah, like
And
who says that to someone and they
right.
don't?
Like what compelled her to do that day? And maybe for her, you'll never know. Maybe that was the only time she's ever said that to anyone. And that's just really special. And I think, yeah, so after he was born, it was just like, I mean, I could never imagine, being drunk or hungover in front of him. And again, like you said, it was for him. And everything just started opening up for me in my life. It was like I became, the thing I feared the most about quitting drinking alcohol is that I would return to being that anxious, insecure girl, right? Like the confident person that I'd become was going to be gone. And then what would be there? what would be there, right? And because when you're not drinking actively, say during the day and you're hungover, the anxiety is through the roof. And so you begin to think that that's what you'll be like if you never drink again. And it's so crazy. It's like, no, the alcohol is making the anxiety worse. It's like tenfold. So eventually when my brain recalibrated and I kind of moved through, the initial grief and all of that, it was like, I don't have anxiety anymore.
Yeah.
Like something that plagued me for my whole life. Like I was diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder, but it was no longer there. Like I have anxiety in times when I should feel anxious, not just always for no reason.
Yeah, I still struggle with anxiety,
Yep.
but now it's more like, okay, feeling anxious, it's a normal feeling, and it's gonna go away.
Right.
And I try to rationalize, like, it's just something that's in your head, it doesn't exist. So I can, I was talking to this guy that I also interviewed, and he's a surfer, and we were talking about that. You have to, my therapist always say that you can't make the waves stop coming, but you can learn to surf. So you can learn to surf your feelings.
Oh, that is beautiful.
Yes.
I absolutely love that.
Yeah, and it's true.
It's true.
Because no, I always say, if you're feeling bad, it's not gonna last forever.
Yeah.
And if you're feeling good, it's not gonna last forever.
Oh my gosh, yes. Well,
So calm down, because you're gonna have all the things, and it's life.
yeah, my mom actually always used to say, and my grandma, this too shall pass. And that is so true. And I've often, I actually have a sobriety guide that's free in my Instagram. And
Cool.
yeah, and it in there, I talk about everything that I did when I initially got sober, like downloading the sober app, what I did for exercise, nutrition, little things like the electrolytes I took, how much water I drank, like all these things I put in place. And one of them I talked about, when those thoughts creep in and that anxiety creeps in, to think of it as a wave that will recede again. It always recedes, and that I remember feeling that too when I was giving birth, like the contractions and thinking of those. It was the same. And I feel like I had a home birth too. And laying in bed and feeling the wave of the pain come over me. And it was very a connected moment where I remember feeling that this too will pass and it will recede. And you're always going to be okay. And you actually, I watched some of your videos, of course, before this interview, and you had said, whatever you're afraid of, like you can handle it. And you don't need the alcohol. Like if you sit with it and your feelings of whether they're anxiety, depression, fear, guilt, shame, you can handle that. The version of yourself is strong enough to handle those emotions.
Yes, because it's what I said, when we think about the future, you don't think that you're gonna be different in the future.
Right.
You're gonna be more prepared in the future. And whatever happens, whatever it may be in your mind that's gonna be bad, it's never that bad.
It's never that
And
bad.
what you expect to be so good, it's never that good.
That part I like too when you said that. And it's so true. Okay, wait, correct me if I'm wrong. I think the example you gave is when you go to Disneyland with your kids, you think it's going to be the most magical thing on earth. And the reality is you're stuck in lines. The kids are screaming. Everybody's sunburnt. You're literally miserable and you're in the happiest place on earth. So 100%. I love that so much.
Yeah, it's true. And then when you get in this mindset, you get, okay, just gonna do life. And and it is what we have.
Yeah.
And when I always say to everybody's like, oh, you started this podcast, you started the channel, and how did you do that? And I said, I just did it, you know,
Yeah.
and I just start and finding people that I thought had a beautiful story and reaching out like I just do. And the responses that I'm having are so awesome.
Yeah, I
And
think like you said too, in one of your videos, I think it was talking about how doing the videos and putting yourself on social media is also a form of healing. And I just started. I've had an Instagram since it first became a thing, but it was very different, right? And I would
yeah,
post here and
mine
there.
too. Yeah,
Yeah, it was never a thing I really took too
yeah.
seriously, and there were certain points of time I did take it more seriously, but then I just would stop posting or whatever. And
And I always thought, oh, this is stupid. These people like on Instagram with the profile with the followers. And then I listened to Mel Robbins, you know Mel Robbins, the
yes, of
podcast.
course.
Yeah, everybody knows. And I was watching one of her videos, and she said, your social media should be for you to send the message you want to the world. That's what it's for.
Yeah.
And then I thought, yeah, maybe she's right. I've been
Yeah.
thinking wrong about this. I can use it as proof.
Well, yeah,
And
when you think about it, it's like when in any time in history have you has an individual that isn't like a big, media outlet had the ability to pick up your phone and talk to anybody in anywhere in the world. There's people that may watch this that are in India or wherever, and that's like
yeah,
very powerful. The reach that you have to share your own personal journey through your life. It's amazing.
yeah, I have so many people from India.
Oh, you
I
do? That's
have
interesting. I made that reference.
It's crazy, and I don't know if yeah, they do understand because they speak English,
Yeah.
and then I have today I talked with Frank. He's from the UK, and then you're from Canada, and then I talked to Leo yesterday. She's from the Netherlands. She's living in Bali, and it's so amazing.
It's so amazing. You would never be able to, we would never have met if it wasn't for Instagram.
Never,
And like,
yeah,
and I think too, I was really afraid of, like you had said, posting my vulnerabilities. Like everybody, of course, knew that I drank a lot, but like, do they know the real angst? No, they just saw the outside, like the fun girl or whatever. And I was worried about, how that would be received, especially like my mother and her friends are on Facebook and they see these videos and
yeah,
see me
yeah. I thought
talking
about
about
my friends
cocaine
and
and stuff. Yeah. It was uncomfortable thinking about it, but then something in me, honestly, I decided on April 1st, I decided I am going to post every single day, one piece of content a day. I'm going to share my journey without filter, and my goal is to help other people not go through all the things. If I can help one person not have to take 10 years to end up quitting alcohol, that's like literally one person. But it's also, like you said, it's for me, it's therapy, and it's connecting
yeah.
with other
So
people.
yes, and we do reach much more people that we think we do.
Oh
You
yeah,
know.
I've had so many messages and I don't even have that many followers yet. And I have literal DMs from people telling me, thank you so much for posting this, or telling me their stories and the story of their father that passed, or their uncle, or that alcoholism has been in their family for like decades and that they finally quit. And I mean, you're literally, people are saving their lives, by
Yeah.
quitting drinking. It really is. And so, yeah, I think the power of doing these interviews it's incredible. And
Yeah.
yeah, I definitely, it's just amazing what you're doing. So
And I think if I have to like dedicate the rest of my life to doing that, I will,
yeah,
because I think it's a wonderful way to live your life, helping people. And I
yeah,
help myself a lot with all this talk and conversation. So for me, I think I said in the video that I thought to myself, am I doing this for me or for other people? And
Yeah.
then I realized I'm doing for both.
Right. It's for both. And I think for people that like want to start posting on social media, but they're afraid, I think it's really, this has been my experience at least. The more that I posted and then I've got the troll comments, the negative comments, it you just become it doesn't bother you anymore. It's like it frees you, it sets you free. And that's how what sobriety did for me too. It set me free. And the more you put yourself into these situations that are out of your comfort zone, the it's just the better and better your life gets, and
Yeah.
you live fearlessly is what it is,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. And you know, one thing that I've learned is like, don't worry so much about the followers or the likes or the
Yeah,
comments, because sometimes I put a video and then almost go viral.
yeah.
Then I would put in the next day a video and there's like 5 likes.
Oh, I know.
So
It doesn't
you
matter.
no, it doesn't matter exactly.
And even if your video had like say 100 views, that those 100 people could have been
100 people, yeah, for
very
me it's a
impacted.
lot.
Oh, it
Yeah,
is a lot. It's 100 human beings, and
yeah.
they could be so impacted by that, you know. And so yeah, it's just, I think the other cool thing about what you're doing and what's inspiring to me is that I have wanted to start a podcast forever. And you know why I haven't done it yet? Because I've been waiting to set up my studio. I've
Yeah, I
been
was.
waiting.
Yes, but that's
Why?
what I thought. I said, I don't have a studio. I don't have the fancy microphones.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll have one day. Hopefully, I could actually do this right now.
Yeah.
But I'm doing with what I have.
You're doing it, and what matters is the conversations. Like, I got this little microphone, but I just got this and I really like it. It's really cute and fun, but it doesn't actually matter.
Yeah,
You know, you and I are still having a wonderful conversation regardless. And I think
yeah.
it's just a testament to, like, you don't need to wait until everything is perfect, and
No,
that's for
because it
everything
will
in
never
life.
be.
It will absolutely never be, you know.
And if you have like a beautiful studio today with two microphones, cameras, professional, but you have no one to talk to, you know, it doesn't matter. You're gonna talk to yourself.
It doesn't. Yeah.
So, you know, it's better you make like a I don't know. You start first for what matters, which is the
Yes.
person you're talking to, and then, of course, if you grow and you want to, then you can have the fancy studio with everything.
Yeah.
Don't
Exactly.
yeah, don't wait for that. Just do it.
No. Yeah, I'm not going to wait. Well, just like you reached out to me, and here we are.
Yeah, so it has been so cool. So I'm gonna ask you one last question because otherwise we're gonna stay here the whole day. Yeah, I do that a lot, and then my
Yeah.
interviews are like 1 hour. So, what would you say for someone that it's like really bad into addiction and can't get out? Like this for me is the biggest question.
Yeah. Well, I will say, as a disclaimer, that from a nursing perspective, if you are drinking a very excessive amount every single day, I would say that you should go and be assisted to quit, because there is obviously things that can happen if you just quit cold turkey and you've been drinking like a ton of vodka every single day. So I would caution people that are really, really consuming a lot to not try to do it alone, and to go into like a treatment or just into the hospital, where they can monitor your vitals. They can, you know, do
Yeah,
an
because it's
EKG,
dangerous. Yeah,
because it can be really dangerous. And
yeah.
I'm actually going to make a YouTube video about that topic, because I post a lot about just quit drinking, right? But for people like me, you know, it was fine. It was okay for me to do that. But so as a disclaimer, if you're very, very, you know, drinking like a
Yeah, like
lot of
I was.
alcohol every day, be cautious. And you know, but going back to the original question, yeah, I would say honestly, what really helped me is like consuming content like this, like follow accounts on Instagram that people you admire, people that inspire you. It doesn't even just have to be sober content. It could just be people that are living the life that you would like to live, and not out of jealousy or
I just made a video about this jealousy.
yeah.
That they see it as something to be inspired of, not
Yes.
jealous and resentful, right?
Yes. And to be able to start to ask those questions, like, what would I do if I could have a perfect day in my life? What would I be doing? And just sort of get to know yourself and realize that honestly, the alcohol is probably holding you back from that person that you already are. You don't necessarily need to become somebody new. The person that you are is already there. You just need to kind of shed that layer,
And connect.
and that it isn't like a moral flaw that you're an alcoholic. It's like, it's a highly addictive substance, and it's a known carcinogen. Like, it does real damage to your brain, to your organs, and that is, it's an addiction, and it is very difficult to stop. And so the shame and the self-loathing, like, I feel like that's why I do a lot of videos about like anatomy and physiology, and like, what is alcohol actually doing to your brain, to your lungs, to your liver, to your kidneys.
It's a poison.
It's a poison. So it isn't just about, oh, you need to be more disciplined. It's like understanding, like, what is this actually doing to my body? And because people have a disconnect between that. And so, yeah, I would just say, like, follow people that inspire you, follow other sober accounts, and see what real, like, sober people, like, look at what life is like.
Yeah.
It's nothing to be afraid of. You're going to find the best version of yourself on the other side of it. And we've all been there. Like, we've all been in those, like, that darkest, it sounds cliche, but that dark, dark valley. Like, we've all been there. And, you know, you can get to the other side, and it's really magical. And I think you owe it to yourself. You know, you owe it to yourself. This is like, this is our one life. This is your body. It's your greatest gift, you know?
Yes.
And you're worthy of it.
That's wonderful. So I love to have you, Rachel. It was so fun.
Yes.
And so good to listen about what you had to share. And I hope and I know a lot of people will identify with you and gonna help a lot of people. And as soon as I post it, I tell you and I send you. And it was lovely. I love it. Thank you so much.
It was so fun. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It was lovely to meet you.
Okay. And have a nice day there.
You too.
Enjoy.
Okay. Bye-bye.